Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Talking Tradesman. Today I have in the studio with me Shaun Mapp. Now, Shaun is a former plumber and now the owner, leader, director of a group called TFT that stands for Tradesmen to Forex Traders. So, Shaun, thank you very much for making the effort to come in today, mate, and let's talk.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you inviting me, mate. Yeah. So to start off, I'm looking forward to obviously what we've got planned at the end of March for what we're doing.
That's it. Let's get straight into that. So Shaun here is the organizer of the big hill climb that I've managed to talk myself into. So the end of March, 30th, isn't it?
Yeah, 29th we'll do it. Yeah,
29th. Okay, I'm sure I've been saying the 30th. So yeah, 29th of March.
Sharing at that point.
All right. Hopefully I'll still be alive by the 30th. The 29th of March, we're climbing Ben Nevis. We're doing that to raise money for the Band of Builders charity and also to raise mental health awareness as a whole for the industry. Now, I've got to admit, mate, when Matt first approached me about climbing Ben Nevis, he was like, he basically said to me, do you fancy climbing Ben Nevis? We got these people coming. There's going to be 20 tradesmen and former tradesmen. And I thought to myself, well, I've done Snowdon a couple of times, so it's just a bit bigger, it'll be fine. So I agreed to it all. And then after I'd agreed, he went, so we need crampons and we need an eye sack. So I'm like, whoa. what do you mean we need those? So do you want to explain a bit about the details of the climb?
Yeah, of course, mate. So I was, I didn't realise kind of what we got ourselves into. So it turns out at the end of March is still winter. So at the top of like 3/4 of the way up Ben Nevis, it's going to be pretty bad weather-wise. So I've organised some guides to take us up there. I think there's going to be 4 or 5 over the 20. So it'd be roughly 4 or 5 per guide. And he sent me over some photos, and he's like, this is what you need to expect at the end of March. And I'm like, right, okay, that's not kind of what I was expecting. It looks like Alaska up there. So
mate, I've seen the pictures and I thought, shit, that looks like Everest.
Yeah, it literally does. Yeah. So he sent me some photos of him like waving at the camera, and like you can hardly see him. It's like a blizzard. And then it turns out it's actually quite dangerous, and it's going to take about 12 hours. So I was like, right, okay, yeah, let's do it. Why not? So
we're in. I mean, ironically, it's on the bucket list to climb Ben Nevis anyway. And because I'm turning 40 this year, I actually thought about doing it, although admittedly in the summer. So when I could just walk up it in a pair of shorts. But yeah, I mean, to add that air of like danger and excitement to it, a little bit of Google research in the group has shown that Ben Nevis is the second most dangerous natural attraction in the world, which is insane.
I know. I haven't showed the wife that yet. Hopefully she doesn't watch this back.
Yeah, my wife's aware of it, unfortunately.
I haven't told her. Otherwise she'd be like, yeah, you cannot do that. Maybe do it in the summer.
Listen, I mean, let's be honest. People listening will probably go listen to that and think, nah, is it bollocks? Google it.
Yeah, Google it.
Google it. It's the second. And the thing I'm thinking about that is quite clearly to me, climbing something like Everest would be more dangerous. But you're only going to get experienced climbers doing that.
Yeah.
Opposed to Ben Nevis, where you've got idiots like me turning up with no experience and deciding to climb it in the winter.
I don't think any of us have got experience. Like there's some in there that are like, yeah, no, we don't need all the climbing gear. We'll just go up in some trousers and hope for the best. But like, I've kind of assured them that we can't do that. So, but no, it's for a great cause, mate. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to document it, obviously, as we do it. We've got some tradesmen influencers that are on board, which is great. Obviously, yourself, awesome. So no, the main thing is obviously raising awareness and kind of getting out there what Band of Builders do, and the most important thing is obviously the support that they offer to men that are struggling with mental health and stuff like that. So
who else in terms of influencer-y types going?
We've got Fraser Hooley. Fraser Hooley's a gas engineer up in Scotland. He's got a decent following on TikTok and his other socials. We've got also, there is another guy. I'm sorry,
Tom McPhillamy.
Yeah, Tom McPhillamy. Tom McPhillamy's on board. He's a plumber. I think he's gas as well. He's more Midlands. And then we've got Ryan Smith. Yeah, he's got a really good following on TikTok, and he specifically deals now. He's he's a tradesman, but he specifically deals with like yourself, the kind of mindset and mental health stuff.
Yeah.
And he loves that stuff. So yeah, we've got an all round really good group of guys.
So we're going to be up there documenting and hopefully not documenting our demise.
Yeah. This is, I was saying the other day, I've got insurance for suicide, but not death on a mountain. So if anyone asks, I
say that you was off. Yeah, I think just to do.
Yeah.
But you've also got Regatta sponsoring it, aren't they?
Yes, mate. Yeah. We've got Regatta on board, so they're kitting us out in all the outdoor wear. And they're promoting us, and then we've got also the installer show. They've put in £500 towards obviously raising the 5,000, which is our aim, and they're going to be promoting it on their socials as well. So
on top of which, I don't think I've actually mentioned this, but On the Tools have also asked me to do like a vlog of it.
Oh, have they? Oh, wow.
And and they've also asked if they can send me a flag to carry up.
And on the tools flag.
To present at the top. And I've gone, yeah, I'm sure that won't be a problem. And they went, we're going to post it out by such and such, and then can you return it afterwards? And then he said something about, because it's quite heavy. And I'm like, what do you mean it's quite heavy? Like, how big's the... First of all, I'm climbing a mountain.
On the moon.
Yeah. First of all, I'm climbing a mountain with no training or baseline fitness.
Yeah,
and now you're offering to send me up with a heavy item.
Oh, God.
I'm like, so On the Tools are lending their weight behind it as well.
Yeah, awesome.
So, stay tuned on that. I need to... Actually, Shaun, I'll ask you, mate, have you done any training for it?
To be fair, I was pretty good all last year. I was quite a bit overweight, so I lost 2.5 stone last year. So, fitness wise, I'm fine. I did kind of say to the guys, anyone that wants to get involved and kind of come forward, you need to be a decent level of fitness, simply because we're going up in groups of 4 or 5. If there's one person that's not fit enough or injured early, obviously the others will have to turn around with them, because the guide can't just leave the others. There has to be a certain amount of number for safety. So kind of if you're not preparing for it, you're potentially letting others down. So I've kind of said that to them, and they're all like, yeah, no, it's fine, it's all good.
So it's no joke, folks. This isn't isn't a leisurely stroll up a hill, as I've been trying to tell myself. It is quite a feat, so it's a worthy cause as well. So if you can get behind that, it'd be amazing. Shaun set a figure of £5,000 to raise for Band Builders, but I reckon we can do more than that. Yeah. I will put a link to the Just Giving, isn't it?
GoFundMe.
GoFundMe.
Yeah,
sorry,
GoFundMe.
I keep saying just go give. Yeah. Anyway, I will put a link to the GoFundMe in the item description, and I'll be continually promoting it up until the event. So you'll see some more content towards that.
Yeah, awesome.
So that's going to be fun, mate.
Yeah, looking forward
to it. The drive itself is a jaunt, isn't it? It was about 8.5 hours, 9 hours.
Yeah, it's gonna take a while. Yeah, I'm like Northamptonshire way, so it's quite a way. It's about 400 miles, I think, 450 miles. So yeah.
Do you know what? I've never actually been to Scotland.
Have you not?
No, I've never been. I've been as far as just below Gretna Green, like just below the border, when I was doing some work in the Lake District, I think it was.
Yeah.
It'll actually be my first step over Scotland. The border.
Oh, there you
go.
Yeah.
So no, that'd be interesting. I'm looking forward to it. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little bit nervous about it. I'm sure I'll be fine, but it was. I said yes before I knew the magnitude of it. That's for sure.
That's right. We'll all help each other, mate. It's We'll just egg each other on. We'll help each other push. Be fine. Yeah.
That's it, mate. It's it'll be a good experience. 20 blokes all in the trades, all have come from a trades background, and all doing it for the same message and reason.
100%.
So it just shows what can be achieved when people get together, really.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, now we've got that bit out of the way, mate. When you reached out to me about coming on the podcast, it was for a reason. You've got your own story, your own journey of what you've been through in the past. And as with any story, they have a start point. So if it's okay with you, then Shaun, we'll go back to the beginning of your story, as it were.
Yeah, of course. So I'm fortunate. I'm off the tools now. I've I've created a group where I help tradesmen get their time back, but we focus a lot about mindset and mental health in there. And when I was younger, probably like most people, to be fair, like a lot of people, I think the marriage rate is not great. I think it's like 50% of marriages break up. So
within the building industry,
well, just in general, I think just like there's, especially like I was born in '87, so like there wasn't, like most of my friends, their parents weren't together. So I grew up with my mum, and then I had my younger brother who's 5 years younger than me, and it was just kind of us. I didn't see my mum. Well, I didn't see my dad. I was just solely with my mum. And at that time, you could go out all day and your mum wouldn't care. She'd you'd go to the post box, do a reverse charge call.
I think, mate, we were probably one of the last generations to do that. I was 84, so I'm like 39 now, turning 40 this year, and it was like you found your mates by looking for the bikes outside the house. And as you say, there were no mobile phones. It was be home before dark or whatever. It was a different world, wasn't it?
100%, yeah. Like I've got two older girls now, an 8 and 10-year-old, and I'd never let them go out for I don't even like them going up the park around the corner. So for my mum to let me out all day, and I'd literally do a reverse charge call at like 5 o'clock, seeing what time I got to be in for dinner. She hadn't seen me since 9 o'clock in the morning. But the way where she worked, so I was with various random people, childminders and kind of like different age groups of kind of just general kids, and we used to play 44 and out and stuff like this, where you'd have like a lamppost, would all go different ways, and you'd have to get back to the lamppost.
We used to call that Aki 1 2 3.
Oh, was that Aki?
I don't know
we called
what
it 44, I think it was back in the day.
I don't even know what Aki stood for, to be honest. It was just one of them things. Did
you shout Aki when you touched
it? Yeah, Aki 1 2 3. I don't know why.
There you go. That was it. But it's so there was there was a scenario that happened. Must have been, I don't know, probably about 7 or 8. And there was a boy that lived up the road. He was, I think at the time he was probably about 12, 13, maybe a little bit older, maybe about 14. And I was hiding with him, and we were close to where we got back in this game, but we were in like a bushed area, and before I knew it, he'd kind of started speaking to me about touching me and stuff like that, and I didn't really know what was going on. And then before I knew it, I was he's pretty much taking advantage, and I was being raped. I didn't really know, didn't understand like what was happening. I didn't, at that age, you don't kind of know anything about anything sexual. It's kind of just like I just knew it hurt, and I didn't really understand what was going on. And I didn't really think anything about it, and then he kind of said to me afterwards, he's like, if you tell anyone, then I'm not going to be your friend anymore. And it's weird because at that age, because he's older, you kind of look up to him and you're like, oh my god, I don't want that. I want you to be my friend, because if you're not my friend, then other people won't be my friend, and then I might be alone, and no one will like me and whatever. So yeah, from that I never said anything. And then it turned out probably about 6 months later, my mum would go out. She'd be quite social. Looking back now, I look back and I'm like, God, she went out a lot and she wasn't around a lot. But my little brother was upstairs asleep, and he was childminding us, and we were watching
the same kid.
The same kid, yeah. Because he literally lived probably like 10 houses up our road. Yeah. And yeah, he was round, and he was like, I wanted to stay up, and I think it was like Jason and the Argonauts or something like that. It was like 1960s old film, like, and
I love that film as well.
Yeah, it was like, I think it was something like that was on, and he was like, well, if you want to stay up, we need to do that thing again that we done last time, and obviously didn't want to, and he kind of talked me around to it, so it happened again, and then I stayed up for a bit, and then his family eventually moved away, and it wasn't until probably I was, I don't know, probably like 12, 13 that I kind of actually realised what had gone on. Yeah. And I actually saw him, so we met up with him and his mum and all of that, and we went skating, and he was like obviously really kind of distant. We didn't obviously say anything. And that was it when it happened, and I kind of knew actually what had happened to me. I don't know, I just put it away in a box, and I didn't ever talk about it again. I knew it happened, but I tried not to, I don't know, like react to it. Like I just kind of said to myself, right, it didn't happen. Just put it away. Just kind of get on with it. And then around 2011 time, I had quite a bad accident at work, and I was advised by some friends to go and see someone about a bad leg injury I had.
What happened at work? Mind me asking.
I got hit by a car. So it was someone had nicked a car, and then they were driving off, and they hit me, and it was pretty traumatic. It was bad, but it seemed to get away. Like the police were there and everything, so they were trying to ram in and whatever.
Right.
I was just in a bad place at a
Wrong
bad
place,
time.
wrong time,
Yeah. And I got hit, and yeah, it was pretty bad. So they were like, look, go and speak to someone. And me being like, I don't know, just me being me, I was like, nah, I'll be fine. I don't need to. And then eventually I was like, right, okay, yeah, I'll go and speak to someone, not really expecting much from it, and just kind of like, and just kind of think, I'll have a session or two, and that'll be done. And I've kind of appeased the people that have kind of asked me to go. And it turned out like I kind of was speaking to this woman, and she was lovely, bless her. And she started off, it kind of had gone from that accident to then my childhood. And I just opened up to her about stuff. And before I knew it, I was just bawling my eyes out to her. And I'd kind of opened up about my childhood and what had happened to me, and kind of how I felt and stuff like that. And
that was the first time you'd spoken about that incident to anybody since it happened?
Yeah, my wife didn't know. My both parents didn't know. Like my dad, I'm really close to my dad now. I started seeing him a lot more as I grew up, and ironically, I don't speak to my mum anymore. Really, haven't spoken to her for years, probably. I'm not very close with her. But yeah, it was just, I just opened up to her, and she was the first person I'd spoke to someone about it. And then I kind of advised her on whether I should speak to my wife about it, and she's like, well, you kind of need to do what you feel is right. And I think it just felt right then, because I'd opened those gates in a sense to then just kind of talk about it a bit more, and because the way that she reacted, it was kind of, I don't know how I was expecting people to react to it, and the plan wasn't to ever talk about it. It was just to keep it to myself, and in my head, I was thinking, right, horrible things happen in this world. Unfortunately, one of those horrible things has happened to me. It is what it is. I just need to.
So you boxed it away, put a lid on it, stuck it to the back of your mind in a corner, as it were, and just never wanted to lift the lid.
Yeah, and the lid was going to stay on. I was just going to get on with life. And
so prior to that first appointment with was it a psychologist?
Yeah, psychologist, yeah.
Prior to that first appointment, had you considered talking about it to her, or it just in the moment felt like?
No, I was really blasé with the whole thing. I was just thinking, well, we'll talk about me being hit with the car.
Yeah.
That was it. And kind of, I'd brush it off, have one session with her, that'd be done. And then we just kind of got talking, and then she just, I don't know why she started on my childhood, but I think she wanted to get a background maybe of me, and
it's
kind of
normally the way, mate. Yeah, I mean,
kind of understand me as a person.
Yeah, I do it with the podcasts, because I kind of feel like, to reference a previous one with Kev, Paint Warrior Kev. Yeah. So he was stabbed. As basically they tried to kill him. Right. It was a case of mistaken identity. He was stabbed 8 times, nearly died. But from there, he's then gone on to build a brand, launch a business, and like he's taken what happened to him and used it in a positive way. Yeah. But to me, when I looked at his situation, I thought that starts before that. Like having that resilience comes from before. Like you build the resilience, and then that resilience takes you through circumstances. So I believe that's probably a similar sort of thing with you, where the psychologist goes back to the beginning to get that overall picture of who you are. That's it, to build up. Maybe with how psychologists work, they deal with different people in different ways depending on what they've experienced and stuff. So like I'm sure there's a lot to it. It takes many years to become a psychologist. Absolutely,
man. So she's very good. But yeah, I just kind of opened up to her, and then I went back to my wife and spoke to my wife about it. She was obviously really supportive and got emotional again. How was that, Shaun? Like the decision to go back and speak to your wife, because I would imagine there were a lot of fears and concerns there. Yeah, are we allowed to swear? Yeah, mate, to put it bluntly, I was shitting myself. I was like, I didn't know how she was going to react, and not in like a negative way, but just in because I knew she loved me and she cared for me. I didn't want to also put it on her as well in a kind of way. Like I could deal with it. I've been dealing with it for years. But then also to me, I was like, if I then tell others, does that then put it on them as well? Do they feel bad this happened to me? And but then I was like, actually, I want her to know, because I want her to
fully know you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't want there to be any barriers or anything like that. I don't want to hold stuff. And at that point, I'd kind of, because like we said, the box had been open. I was a lot more open to talking about it. So yeah, I kind of told her, broke down a little bit, and then we kind of then discussed about telling my dad, and I knew it was going to be really difficult telling
just
him.
to sort of like pull you back a little bit there.
Yeah.
How was your wife's reaction? Like, what did she tell you how she felt hearing that?
She just cuddled me, and she was so good. Yeah, she was just supportive. Just I don't know. It's just, the thing is, I can imagine from her point of view, it must be really difficult to. I don't know. I don't think you know how you're going to react to like anything like that until it happens.
Yeah.
But like thinking back at it on how it happened and kind of how she reacted, that's all I wanted. She done everything right. So I wasn't expecting much, because it happened so many years before. I was like 20 odd years before. I was just kind of like it.
I guess what did you want in that moment from you? You said that she reacted exactly how you wanted. What did you want at that moment from her?
Just love, I think, more than anything. I think I just wanted. I wasn't expecting much from her, but I just the cuddle was enough. It was I don't know. It was just that. It was that reassurance that that everything would be okay. And I think just her being there and me being comfortable enough to talk to her about it was enough. Because the thing is, and I've definitely learned this over the years, is that we're a lot more. We find it a lot harder to speak to the people that we know and kind of open up to them, because I think a lot of the time you're worried about putting extra pressure on them and how they're going to feel, and you should always put yourself first in those situations, because ultimately you're the one that's experiencing it. And that was my concern with telling her, was I didn't want it to have a negative impact on her. But then I also thought, well, I love her, we're together, like it's I've spoke to a stranger about it, I can speak to her, and that's kind of what I done. And she was supportive, and then we kind of spoke for a bit about who else we would tell. And my mum still doesn't know to this day. Like, I think, to be fair, it would probably destroy her if she found out, just simply because the way she is as a person. But like, I knew I wanted to tell my dad, because I'm close to my dad, and I didn't want to hide that from him, and I didn't want him to not know, even though I knew it was going to hurt him. So we went round my dad's, and I told him, and he started breaking down. He felt that he should have been there, because mum and dad had broken up when I was 5, so this had happened a couple of years. He wasn't about. I'd wait up at the window for him to come and pick me up at the weekend, and he wouldn't come, and my mum would be like, "Oh, I told you, he's got a new family now, he doesn't love you," and all of this. But she was stopping him from coming to the house, and I think that's the reason now that I'm so, being an adult, I kind of know what's happened.
You see everything in a different light as you get older.
I just grew up thinking, wow, Dad doesn't want me anymore, he's got this new family, and you felt like unloved on that part. But then it's not until you're older, and I actually ended up moving in with him when I was 18, and me and him have been super close ever since. And we had, when I was moved in with him, we had a sit down about my childhood. Now, I obviously at that point didn't mention anything then. It was just more about not seeing him, and him kind of having another family and all of that. But when I went round his, and I went round with my wife, and we kind of spoke about what happened when I was younger. He kind of left the room and went into the kitchen and bawled his eyes out, and I just sorry, I just went in and gave him a cuddle and that, and
it's all you can do, mate. I mean, the reason that I sort of pulled it back and asked you about how your wife had reacted there is because there's potential that somebody out there that hears this might have been in a similar situation, might have experienced something the same, where they haven't spoken to anyone, and might be having those same thoughts, worries and concerns that you had at that point of how are they going to take it. And to hear your story that was positive, and that your wife provided the support that you needed, which essentially was just being there, not necessarily doing anything, but just to be there, hear your story and be there with you in it. You know, I think it needed to be said just to let people know that that's how it went.
Yeah, I wasn't even expecting anything really from her. I just wanted her to know. I just wanted, like I said, the cuddle was enough. That cuddle was 1,000 words. So
there's a weight, isn't there? I believe there's a weight to emotions, and there's a weight to, like, I guess as soon as you lifted that lid, little did you know at that stage, but that was like the beginning of a series of events that once you've lifted that lid off, it's off. You can't put it back on.
No.
So telling that stranger probably set off that chain of events that you were always going to then tell everybody, because once you'd told somebody, there's always, I guess there must be an element of, if you were to hold it as a secret at that point, there would be a real weight to that. Like
that I would have seen that as my opportunity, and the fact that I didn't take that opportunity, I think I would have been a lot more likely to hold back from then going forward.
Yeah.
Because that, to me, looking back at it now, was the perfect opportunity. If I was going to speak about it, that would have been then. I think there's always a right time to do things, and with her in the scenario, and just us being alone and not knowing her, and kind of being able to open up to her, I don't know, it just kind of just felt natural to tell her, and I wasn't expecting that from it. I'd never seen a psychologist before. I didn't know what to expect. I was a bit blasé about it, like I'd just brush it off and crack on. But actually, she's probably changed my life more than she's ever realised, and it's in a good way. Like, bad things do happen to people. There's a lot of horrible things that happen over the world, and there's two ways that you can kind of react to things. And I just want to focus now on like yourself, just kind of helping people be able to, and mainly tradesmen. Like, I've got a tradesman background. I know what us men are like when we hold things in. The weight that you feel when you open up about stuff that literally stops you from sleeping, stops you from eating, and kind of stops you living your life. Just talking to someone just helps massively. So this is the reason why obviously I wanted to be on here with you, because anything that I'm happy to, like, I find it, the more I talk about this now, the less emotional I get with it, and the easier I find talking about it. And that in itself just proves that just being open and talking about how you're feeling and the struggles you had and what you're going through, it does have a positive impact, not just on how you're feeling as a person, but other people seeing your experiences and then potentially wanting to open up themselves. So
100%, mate. And I'm really grateful to you and to everyone that's come on so far and talked about their story, their journey. But particularly you, because you're sat here now, mate. So yeah, I'm really grateful that you've come on today and that you've opened up as you have. Because there will be other people out there that are in similar situations, or situations where it might be different, but they can resonate in terms of holding things in and not talking. How did it feel once you told the people that you needed to tell? Like, what was there?
It felt, the weight, it felt lighter each time. So even now, like, I don't that feeling of that, the kind of being upset about it, I don't think that will ever go, because it's something that was traumatic to me, that happened to me when I was younger. So I don't think I'll ever not get emotional with it, but I find it easier now containing those like those emotions. But I just think it's just important to.
I think you said it earlier, Shaun, the coping mechanisms.
Yeah.
So it doesn't change what happened. You know, you can't do that, but you learn coping mechanisms, and you can't learn those coping mechanisms if you never talk about it, can you?
No.
So, and going and seeking professional help. I mean, how was that? How was the therapy? Did the psychologist help?
I ended up having another 9 sessions with her. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it'd gone from that initial 1 or 2 that I was kind of booked in for. I kind of, after that first session, she's like, I'm going to book you in for like 3-4 more. And then I ended up having a total of 9 with her. So it was, but yeah, it helped massively. Just the support and advice that she gave. And then, because during that 9 kind of session time, I'd gone and spoke to my wife, I'd gone and spoke to my dad, I'd done various things, and then I'd kind of gone back to her and reported to her, and she could see the change in me and the kind of how I was feeling better about things from my actions of kind of talking about it. So yeah, I'm really grateful to her, and I'm glad I went. And like that was that I don't know how I'd be now or what situation I'd be in. I don't know how I don't know what I'd be doing now if I kind of hadn't opened up about it at the time. It's just I think it's just super important to open up and talk about stuff, and holding it in is probably one of the worst things you can do.
Yeah. The incredible thing now is that you've gone through that, you've done that, you've been through the process, and now you're taking your experience and opening up and talking to anyone around you. Because I mean, I knew you prior to today through my time with TFT, and I remember you opening up about it then, and that was a few years ago. So there's probably many people now that you've spoken to about your story. Yeah,
I'm kind of really fortunate in the position I'm in, because I kind of speak to hundreds of tradesmen every single month, and the relationships that I've built within TFT with individuals, because our main aim is to help tradesmen get their time back. There are many that have changed their lives through TFT, and they do open up to me, and they do kind of confide in me and stuff. And if they are struggling, then I do my best to give them the advice. And obviously within TFT, we've got June, who's like she's a psychologist who helps, so she kind of points people to the right support and stuff. And I think that's the main thing, really. I think I'm not qualified to kind of give the right advice, and I'm happy to listen to absolutely anyone, but what I want them to do is go to the right services and go to Samaritans and companies like that, because they know how to deal with situations. So
Absolutely.
I think that's the main thing, is just being there for that initial point of contact, but then moving them to where they need to go.
That's important, Shaun, that first point of contact. Because a lot of people that have been through bad things or in dark places of their lives, they feel lost. So being able to be that signpost to say, okay, I hear you, I understand you, that's where you need to go over to these people, they deal with that. That's equally as important as the people that deal with the next stage, because without that first stage, they never get anywhere. They remain lost, and unfortunately that can spiral.
With the first point of contact is probably one of the most important, because if you don't deal with the first point of contact in the right way, and this is the thing that I think, especially with tradesmen and being strong, buff men and kind of solid and all of this, I think a lot of the time they don't open up because they think they're going to be ridiculed and stuff, and they're worried that if they do confide in like a friend or someone on site or anyone, that they're just going to be kind of put down or laughed at and said they're not man enough, and it's a load of crap. But it's ultimately them stopping them doing that. It has a worse effect on you long term, but it's kind of, you need to, when you are the point of contact, you need to be like really serious about it and make sure they do get to that right point, because if you give them bad advice, that's potentially even worse than kind of them not coming to you in the first place. So it's having Samaritans and other companies that do offer that support is the best thing you can do.
It's absolutely, mate. And it's one of the points that I've made a couple of times now is that there's a thing with men where we say, we don't talk enough. Men don't talk, but for men to talk, you also have to have somebody to listen. So listening is just as important. And I think we all, people within the trades, people within the building trades, or circles of friends, whatever it might be, we as men all have a responsibility to each other to be able to listen to a friend, to a colleague if they need it, and be supportive and drop the stigma and the bullshit of, the big strong. But you can still be a big strong man. You can still be an alpha male, yet require support. And have had shit happen to you in the past.
It actually takes a really strong person to actually come forward and speak about their emotions. So
completely agree.
So like you're actually more of a man by being open and talking about the things that you've gone through.
Completely agree, mate. I mean, unfortunately, those that don't talk, that will then often manifest in things like addictions and, you know, all that kind of thing, addictions, violence, and you tend to project that pain onto other people.
Yeah.
So as you quite rightly said, one of the strongest things you can do is talk.
Yeah.
Is be open and discuss how you're feeling.
Yeah.
So there's no weakness to that.
Yeah, no, this is it. Like even doing this today, it just it feels like the right thing to do. Just this scenario is just, if you guys watching like want to take advantage of coming on here and kind of talking about things that you've been through, then by all means, please make contact, because it's all you're going to do from that is just help others. There's nothing but good that we can do by talking about how we feel and the awful things that we go through. And it's even through TFT. And when I done my first kind of talking, we done like an internal podcast for it, and I kind of really broke down on it then, because that was like the second time I'd like mainly spoke about it to a larger group, and I did get quite emotional. But the messages I got afterwards from individuals going, "Oh my gosh, Shaun, I've literally gone through the same." It's actually quite sad how common it is that the awful things that happen to us have happened.
Yeah.
And that people have just held it in and kind of just like dealt with it, but not dealt with it. They've just kind of like me, had put it in a box and hadn't spoke about it. So
I think to a lot of men that they class that as dealing with it.
Yeah.
Well, that happened. I'm not going to talk about it. That is me dealing with it.
Yeah.
But realistically, it's not, is it?
No, it's not. No, it's not. And the thing is, you could go through life and you could carry on, but then it could go the opposite way, and it could actually really have a negative impact on your life for the rest of your life. So I know definitely from a personal experience that the best thing I done was talk about it and open up to the psychologist and speak to her. That was the turning point for me to actually be like, okay, actually that wasn't actually as bad as I thought it was going to be. And I felt so much better coming out of that first session. I felt like, I don't know, it's like a bit of euphoria. I think I'd felt like
it must have been a massive weight.
Yeah, it was just, I felt like a bit of a different person. Just like I'd come out and I was like, oh my God, just like, I can't believe I was like, I can't believe I told her that. And then I was thinking, well, she's reacted in that way. I wasn't expecting that. And there was just, and I think that's why I was so confident about kind of speaking to my wife about it, because then the way she reacted and it wasn't as bad as I thought. I was like, actually, I can actually talk to other people about this, and it's not actually as bad as I like. Things that happen to you in life are always going to be worse in your head than what they generally are in life. What actually is the reality of life. So
I think in a way, by doing it as well, you take your power back. Do you know what I mean? You take, although you had no control of that situation when it happened, you can take control of it now.
Yeah.
So you can take control of your response to it, and by taking that power back, it puts you're not in the back seat anymore. No, you're driving.
Yeah.
You know, you can choose where you're going to go with that. So that in itself has a lot of power. My voice is going.
Right.
But yeah, it's that in itself is a massively powerful thing.
Yeah. And now just the main thing now is just kind of helping others now, and just even if I can get from this, if one person can just come forward and kind of open up to someone, and it doesn't have to be anyone close, it can be literally anyone.
Yeah.
The most important thing is just opening up. That is, once you're past that first barrier, it just, everything else becomes easier.
And I mentioned this pre-record when I was talking to Shaun. So this is one of the reasons why I'm trying to champion the service that Samaritans offer, because Samaritans offer that anonymity.
Yeah,
I'm saying that right? Anonymity.
Yeah, I'm not even going to attempt to say it. Yeah.
Because it's an anonymous service, it's actually a really good start point for something like this, because the person on the other end of the phone doesn't know you, doesn't have any of your details, and you get a complete stranger to talk completely non-judgmentally.
Yeah.
So sometimes just that first step to say sometimes even just saying those words out loud, that's the big first step.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons I think that service is so valuable. So if anyone listening has been affected in a similar way to Shaun and is wondering how or who to take that first step with, because psychologists, counsellors, amazing service, but obviously there is a barrier of entry financially to a lot of people.
Yeah.
Samaritans is totally free. You can get hold of them 365 days a year on 116 123. So I'll just pop that in there now because I'm going to keep pushing that because there's someone out there that needs to use that service.
Also, individuals might find it easier talking on the phone to someone than they would face to face as well. So, like when you're thinking, oh, actually, I don't want to open up about it, but then secondly, I don't want to open up to someone about it face to face. Then Samaritan's kind of getting the win-win out of that because you're opening up, but you're not opening up to like we are. So
it's completely anonymous. You can't see the face, obviously. So it's just a voice at the end of the telephone, and there's a certain power to that. There's a certain beauty to that service that it is anonymous. So again, it could be a good first step for people. Yeah, definitely. But again, mate, I really appreciate you opening up and telling your story, and the message that you've delivered there is extremely powerful. I mean, shifting back slightly into, we'll talk about TFT in a minute because I want to get into what you do there. But before that, you were a plumber.
I was, yes.
How was your time as a plumber?
I loved it. I was a qualified plumber, mainly done bathrooms, to be fair. I quite enjoyed doing bathrooms. I got quite a lot of satisfaction from the end product. But then I just back in 2017, being self-employed, I didn't really have anything in place for like a pension. So I was like, right, how can I make money on the side of what I was doing? Because at the time I was working 6 days a week. I was quoting. I was on good money. I was making good money, but I just wasn't at home a lot.
How long were you running your own business for, Shaun?
About 6 years.
Okay.
Yeah, about 6 years I was doing that. It was really good. Like I loved it. I liked being my own boss. I enjoyed kind of doing it on my terms, on my time, managing stuff. But obviously with that, because you are managing everything's then on you, and it's kind of having that that stress of making sure that you've got constant work coming in. I remember there would be a couple of times I wouldn't have any work 2-3 weeks later, and I'd be like, oh god, okay, I'd get some photos done, put them on Facebook, and luckily I was getting work through pretty much instantly. So I was always busy. But then I'd seen back in 2017, I'd seen a builder at the time, like he was soon to retire, and he was talking about currency trading, and I didn't know what that was. But I watched it. I think it was like a paid ad. So I watched that, and I was like, oh, like this is interesting. I could potentially do this on the side while I'm doing plumbing, and kind of maybe this money, if I do make money from this, could go towards like a pension and something like that, because I didn't have that in place.
So at that point, you weren't thinking I need to get out of plumbing?
No. Like I didn't even know what trading was. I literally I was brand new to it all. I didn't understand anything. I just wanted to. I was interested in what it could do, because obviously you hear make money, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, who doesn't want to make money? So I was thinking what I could do. I didn't have any idea of how much could be made, or kind of how long it was going to take to learn or anything. I just thought whatever I do, because I've got easily 20 odd years of kind of plumbing left in me, right? Yeah. So I thought even if I try this and it takes me 5 years to get, I've made money for 15 years for the rest of my life to retire and whatever. So it was always a pension thing. So that was in 2017. I kind of spoke to him, added him as a friend on Facebook, and I kind of watched his journey for a couple of years, kind of always saying to him 2-3 times, yeah, I'm going to get into it, mate. And I kind of never did. And then I had a really good year plumbing 2019. I was absolutely like super busy, but the money was good. And I kind of said to the wife, I was like, look, I'm going to look at this trading thing and just kind of give that a go. I've got like with the risk was, I think to start the kind of learning side of it was about £150. And I kind of was like, well, I'll pay that £150 and then I'll do the month and we'll see how it is. And worst case scenario, if it's crap or I get scammed or it doesn't work or whatever, then I've just lost £150, which at the time is probably like a night out with some friends. That's kind of like how I looked at it. It was kind of, the risk wasn't really there. So no, I started doing it in January 2020, and then April time, March, April, May time, obviously lockdown hit, and none of us could leave the house. We're all kind of stuck in the house. We didn't know what was going on with our work, and there was a lot of self-employed people that were kind of like in a bad way. And what I decided to do then was was then just going to Facebook groups, mainly plumbing ones, but then there'd be tiling and paint and decorate ones, various ones. And I wanted to see if anyone was interested in learning trading with me. And it started off really slow. Like within the first couple of weeks, I think there was like 10 of us doing it, and we started off in like a messenger group, and we were part of a group that had like structured education and kind of support. And
so just to simplify it, idiot's guide, as it were, because you're saying trading. I know what you mean.
Yeah.
But we're talking Forex trading.
Yeah,
aren't we? So,
currency trading. Yeah. So obviously I was a tradesman, but then I wanted to. I was learning how to currency trade, so it was making money off the difference between.
Again, idiot's guide. Yeah. What is Forex trading? What is currency trading?
So the best way to probably simplify it is if you go into saying Asda and like you're looking to go to America, and you go to like the little foreign exchange little kiosk thing in Asda, and you buy $100 worth of American dollars. And then what happens is you go over to America and you don't spend it, and you're like, oh, actually, I'm going to convert it back to GBP, or Great British pounds. What's going to happen is you're either going to get more or less than what you spent on it.
Always get less.
Yeah, always. It always works out less, doesn't it? But yeah, so what you're doing is you're making money on the difference between the two. So what happens is the currencies constantly fluctuate, and then what you're doing is you're putting buys and sells on which currency you think is going to go up against the other. And it's kind of, it's not massively hard to learn. The most important thing with currency trading is actually the psychological side, because we're very emotional as humans. You'll find that most people, they over risk and they over leverage. They put too much on a trade. They don't do the right risk management, and they don't have a trading plan. There's all these things, and kind of all of this now, like over the 4 years that I've been doing it and others have been doing it, we've kind of built like a structure now where people can come in and they can learn pretty efficiently how to learn how to trade, and everything's there. We do like 7 days a week of live sessions, and we've got structured education. We've got a psychologist in the group that she offers support. I've got 10 guys who were tradesmen. Some of them are still on the tools part-time, but most of them are full-time traders now, and they help me run the group. So I'm the CEO, I'm the founder, and then they're all self-employed for me. There's no kind of pyramid stuff or anything like that. We don't. We're just purely an education company. So like we don't manage your money, we don't trade for you or anything like that. We're purely educational.
I must admit, I mean, I can testify to some of this. So I joined TFT myself a few years ago. I can't remember how many years to be exact, through an acquaintance. And I'm not in TFT now. So first of all, there's nothing, this isn't a promotional thing from me. I'm not being paid to say anything. This is just legitimate. If anyone wants to message me directly, happy to take the message. So I was in TFT for, I don't know, maybe about 12 months. And my own personal experience of TFT was entirely positive. I can hands-on say that, Shaun isn't a scammer. He's not a con man. He's sat here with his face open. His name will be on the description. To play devil's advocate, there is, it is trading, so you can lose trades as well as win them. But what I will say for TFT is that the support within the group I found was fantastic. There's a community of trades people within TFT that all support each other. And it kind of, even taking out the trading side of it, it's a great networking tool.
Yeah, 100%.
Because there's a lot of connections made, a lot of friendships made, and a lot of opportunities come out of that group, or did when I was there. For full clarity, I left TFT because I was juggling a lot of plates. But at the same time, I'd started my psychology degree. I think I was business coaching as well at the time, and running a business. And I knew I hadn't got enough time to put into the education to learn. So that was why I left, because I was juggling other things. But I would legitimately, if I had the time to learn it again, I'd join again. So I think that's the biggest sort of like testimony I can give to you guys.
It's like we've got over 1,000 people now in the Discord, and then we've got a trial group on Facebook which has got 7,000 in. So we post kind of like our updates and our results. We've got partnerships with various companies. So we've got a partnership with with Powered Now. who are like
With who, sorry?
Powered Now.
Okay.
Now, they're a company that sort out they kind of help tradesmen become more efficient with their work. So they kind of have this app. So what they do is you can kind of book in quotes, services, various other things all through your phone app, and they're quite big. Powered Now are really good, and we've got a partnership with them. I've got a partnership with a tool company as well, where we get discounts on tools, and then we've got Fraser Hooley, who helps us with our marketing. And yeah, we done the installer show last year up in Birmingham, and we're looking to do it again this year. And that was great, just like meeting people within TFT, but also new people. There was a lot of surprise faces on kind of like, what are you guys doing here? Because there's not many currency trading groups out there that are doing what we're doing. So we're very forward facing. Like, you could Google me, and within 5 minutes you can find my address, and I've done it. It's super easy. So it's like there's nothing. There's no reason for me to hide behind anything. So.
I mean, just for anyone that might be interested, I mean, obviously I'll put all Shaun's details and TFT's details in the description, so that'll be in the description link below. If somebody were interested in learning what TFT are about and making maybe an initial sort of like dipping the toe in, there's not a massive commitment to that, is there? No. If I remember rightly, are you guys subscription service?
Yeah. So we've got actually a free area. So our newbie education is free within the Discord. So all you need to do is sign up through www.tft.co.uk, and we've got all our newbie education in there, which is structured, and then you get access to a small section of the Discord, but the rest of the group have that access. So if you've got any questions on any of the newbie stuff or anything, then you won't get answers just from myself. It'll be the rest of the community as well. So
you can dip your toes in, see what it's about before making any kind of financial
100%,
commitment.
Yeah, 100%. And then there's like a ticket system that we have within TFT as well. So if you're not confident enough to like ask questions within the Discord, you can open a ticket that myself and what are known as my leaders, the 10 guys that help me run TFT, we're the only ones that can see that. So, and we can answer you personally then. So, there's plenty of support. Everyone helps everyone. Like I said, we don't trade for you. We don't make money off your wins and losses or anything like that. We are purely there for education and support. We kind of technically help you fish, learn how to fish, and then you guys can then take those strategies. And
well, if anyone's interested, obviously look TFT up. You guys are on all the platforms, aren't you?
Yeah.
Or here we go. We might as well do this now, Shaun. So if anyone is interested in what we've just been talking about, you've just said the website, where can people find TFT?
Yeah, I think on most things, if you put in Tradesmen to Forex Traders, you're going to find us super easy. Like we're very new on TikTok. We're only, I think we've got like 600 followers on TikTok. So
that's about 400 more than me, mate. So
we need to build that a little bit. But yeah, we've got Instagram and we've got YouTube. We've got on our YouTube, we give out like free. There's a live session that's put out most days, and we kind of give you ideas of areas that we're looking at. That's done daily, pretty much. That you can just go and search.
I think personally, I mean, with Forex trading, I know there's some very successful people. I think one of the things that's potentially damaged the image of the thing as a whole are the ones that you see on like Instagram, Facebook. I 6 months and I'm driving a Lamborghini on a yacht,
just unrealistic,
and all that kind of thing. And I think it does more harm than good.
Yeah, 100%.
Because people look at that, and the first thing you do, you look at it and go, oh, scam.
Yeah, 100%. It's like so there are plenty out there. You'll see they've got Lamborghinis, they've got jets, they've got super expensive Rolexes and all of this, and they're just very flashy. I kind of my kind of motto is if you can come into TFT and get to the point where you don't have to work a Saturday anymore because you've made enough from a couple of trades that you can actually have Saturdays back, then to me that's a win. So it's very much getting our time back. Like, time goes no matter what. It's something that we never get back. So, and I've definitely learned from having, like, I've got a 2-year-old now, and I've been really fortunate. I've been able to watch. I've seen a lot of her firsts, which I missed with my elder 2. 2, and the relationship I have with her is amazing, and that's just simply from stepping out of my comfort zone and doing currency trading. If I hadn't looked into it back in 2017 and then started it in 2019, I'd very likely still be on the tools, still grinding 6 days a week, quite most
because you're completely off the tools now, aren't you? So you're full-time currency trader.
Yeah, I kept my van for about 9 months after, just as a security measure, and more for a mindset thing for me. Pretty much like the thing is, you'll see out there, oh yeah, I've got the best strategy. This is a winner. 90% of trading is mindset. So
Shaun kept his van because he needed a van for all the cash.
Yeah, I wish.
Van loads going up and down the country.
No, actually, one of the TFT members borrowed my van for about 6 months. He messaged me and he's like, "Oh, Shaun," he's like, "I think you got your van still, ain't you?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "My van's gone kaput. Would you mind if I borrowed it?" And I'm like, "Yeah, no, of course." So yeah, he had it for like 6 months. And I'd never met him either, but he's like one of the nicest guys, and he's a good friend. Yeah.
To be fair, mate, as I said, I mean, not that I was in the group, I'm out of the group. I've known you on and off through that, but you're a genuine guy. Yeah, so I wouldn't endorse anything that I didn't believe was, and you guys are. And I think what I like about the group is you've got a heavy focus on mental health. Yeah, I mean, hence the charity climber Ben Nevis. So Shaun's company are paying for all that. So they're funding that, they've organised all that, and that is again to raise mental health awareness. And you lot are very hot on the fact that your mindset has got to be correct in order to do trading anyway. So the two go hand in hand, and there is the support there. It's not a grab your money and run kind of thing.
No, I think mindset and psychology and stuff is I never kind of knew anything about that when I was plumbing. It wasn't until I actually started learning about trading that I actually opened up a little bit with your mindset will if you're generally a negative person, then you'll find that generally negative things happen to you. If you're generally positive about life and you're open up to opportunities and you try new things and you step out your comfort zone, then you'll find that actually you get kind of rewarded in a weird way with good things that do happen in your life. So I've definitely found that stepping out of my comfort zone and trying new things and helping others, like helping other people is not only rewarding, but there's always good things that come from helping others. And it's a blessing, really. I'm really fortunate with.
There's an old Buddhist philosophy, actually. I went through a stage of studying Buddhism.
Oh, wow.
I'm not religious at all, but a lot of what they say when it comes to mindset, Buddhism's great. But one of their old sayings is actually that happiness is found in service to others. And there's a truth to that. I find that firsthand with like Samaritans, and doing this podcast as well. It's a passion project. It ticks a box. There's some fulfillment in helping people.
In the growth of TFT, I've been called a scumbag, a scammer, like loads of abuse. I've been kicked out of tradesman groups. I've been blocked, but then I'll get members within the community that message me and they'll be like, "Shaun, you've literally changed my life. My life is, I'm able to see my kids more. I'm able to do things. I'm able to go on holidays. I'm able to just spend more time with family." And I never would have had that if I hadn't joined TFT. And that positivity and seeing how they've changed their lives blows all of the negativity out of the water. And I'm happy for the next 10 years to be called a scammer or whatever people want to call me. Like I sleep well at night knowing that I help people and that I'm doing the right thing. So people that kind of just assume things and don't know me as a person, it's just easy to throw words out there without actually any real evidence. And the positivity that I get within TFT from members blows away any negativity that people that don't know me mate. Look, give. I mean, so
you know the journey you're on, and you know the tracks that you're on. You just got to stick to your guns. You know what you're doing, and you're seeing the first-hand results of the positivity. So you've just got to, as you are, just focus on that.
Yeah.
But I mean, how do you know? So now you're not in the trade anymore. What's your view of the building trades looking back retrospectively? Because I can remember a conversation when I was a member of TFT, and I remember you saying about issues with your knees. Was it?
Yeah, I got bursitis in my knee. So, ironically, like a week before myself, the wife, and the kids were due to go on holiday. It was getting away down in Cornwall quite a few years ago, and I knelt on a screw, and I was like, I kind of rubbed my knee. I was like, "Oh, you fucker," and didn't really think anything of it. And I was second fixing a bathroom, so I was close to finishing it, ready to go away that weekend. And I woke up through the night that night, and I was like, "Bro, my knee felt really painful." So I went into the ensuite, checked. What had happened was I'd popped the bursa. So we have bursas in our joints, on our elbows, shoulders, and knees, and they're protective sacs of liquid that protect the joint. And what I'd done is I'd popped it, so my knee had actually ballooned out, and I couldn't walk on it. Like, I couldn't put any weight on it or anything. So I ended up having to go to the doctors, and they actually pulled liquid out. And tried draining it so that I could carry on. And I ended up, it took me 2 days to finish what should have taken like 2-3 hours.
Do you know what though? This is one of the things though, isn't it? With the trades, like, you get an injury like that, you still got to work.
Yeah,
you still got to finish the job.
I was hobbling up the stairs with a shower screen, and I was literally with one foot jumping up the next one and then dragging it.
That's crazy.
And I had to get it done. And the woman was like, "No, it's fine. Do it when you get back." And like, she didn't have a toilet in. I was like, "No." I was like, "I can't leave this for you all." So
and this is one of the pressures of the trades.
And being self-employed, like, if you don't work, then, and this is what I think the reason I got people that joined TFT during lockdown, because they were realizing, oh God, like,
the rug has been pulled.
Yeah, like what happened? What's going to happen if this happens again? I need to find ways of making other money that I don't have to rely on by going into work. And I think since lockdown, the soaring online learning and learning different skills that you don't have to rely on being manual has gone up massively. And it, like I said, to the point where if you can make enough money where you don't have to work a couple of days, then that takes that pressure off. That takes the pressure off of you being at work. But you've got bad knees, you've got bad backs, you've got numerous things that come with constantly being heavy labour. That by the time you are old enough to retire, your body's so fucked, it's like you can't enjoy it anyway. Like,
I'm majorly conscious of that, mate. I mean, I'm 39, but I've been in the trades for pretty much all my life. So I started when I took the business over at 17, but I was actually going to work with my dad at 8. So I'm like, when I talk to people about it, I say, well, I'm still, I mean, I guess I've got to stop saying I'm relatively young, because I'm kind of like I'm at half time soon. But I still feel like I'm quite young, but I feel like I'm high mileage for my age. Do you know what I mean? So I've got niggles, shoulders. I've had tendonitis in my right shoulder for as long as I can remember now. I mean, if I pick up anything heavy, if I were to have a pint and pick a pint up, my hand shakes because of my shoulder. But I can't rest it, because the cure is to rest it for about 3 months. And you go to the doctor and they're like, try not to lift your elbow above like shoulder height. I'm like, I do that every day.
How can I do that?
So I've just learned to I've just soldiered through it, and I'm not looking for credit here, but it's just the reality of a small business owner. You quite often have to put your body second and put the job or the money realistically first. But I'm conscious of it now. I think that the 40 thing, mate, is
playing with you.
It is. Admittedly, it's playing on my mind. It's like I feel like somebody's ringing a bell, going, you got to sort something out so here. Quick, it does. 30 to 40 seems to have really vanished. But I'm conscious, so I've got a ropey knee, ropey shoulder, and I'm thinking, I've potentially got another. If I carry on in the trades, I've got 25 years, easy if not longer. And can I realistically? So. There's a worry and a pressure there. So I think if you can get something to alleviate that pressure, it's only a good thing.
But it's the time as well, mate. It's just we don't get it back, and we're only on this planet once. So to me, it's just stepping out and doing something that you're not 100% about. Like, the worst that's going to happen is you learn from that experience, like that, and at least then I know personally, for me, I don't want to be 70 laying in bed having what ifs in life, because I'm only here once. I want to kind of experience what I can experience, and it's not always going to be good, but at least I can say that I've tried it and it's done. So I'm just very open-minded to different things. It's just one of those. But I think once again that comes back to how my mindset and psychology has shifted over the years, since kind of doing what I do now, and being around the right people as well. I think surrounding yourself with, I don't speak to friends anymore that I haven't spoke to for years, like, who didn't believe in what I was doing, and I've kind of moved away from certain family members just because they weren't supportive, because it's a lot easier in life to be negative than it is positive. So I just kind of veer away from those people.
I think a lot of people generally, the older you get, you find that your circle gets smaller.
Yeah.
There's a lot of life lessons to learn there, and who you surround yourself with is huge.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, I mean, me personally, I've gone through that where I led a lifestyle that certainly isn't me now, and I don't socialise with those people anymore because of that. You know, it's you become a creature of your environment, don't you? So you have to really be conscious of the environment that you're putting yourself in, otherwise you become that. So it's a really key thing, mate.
Yeah.
One of the questions, Shaun, that I'm asking every guest that comes on the podcast is, why do you think, because obviously the reason that I've started the podcast is to raise mental health awareness in the building trades because of the horrible statistics of people that take their own life.
Yeah, it's awful,
What's your take on why the building trades are so adversely affected in comparison to any other industry? Why do you think the building trades are so badly affected?
I think because it's mainly male orientated, the building trade. I think it might go back to like the 1920s, and like, you know, you'd see these pictures of scaffolders sitting on like an iron bar in New York, and then they're like, and people look at them and like, wow, they're real men, and it's kind of like there's this persona that that we're like male, we provide, and there's this massive pressure of us being there for our families and putting ourselves second to everything. And I think there's that stress and constant kind of pressure of that it's kind of deemed upon that it's in this world that the tradesmen are like butch men, and kind of like we don't get emotional and we don't talk about our feelings, and we know that's not the case. We're human, like we do have emotions, like we cry like everyone else. And I think because it's held up a lot of the time, and when you hold something in for so long, eventually it gets to a point where it kind of is going to erupt, or very close to erupting, if you don't kind of speak about how you feel. So it's really sad that, and unfortunate that people, rather than talking about it, would just sooner end their life than kind of go through the stigma of, actually, they're so worried about what other people are going to think about them that they would sooner just end their life than talk about it. And it's just a real shame. So I think it's just the tradesman stigma of us being macho, manly men that they kind of, because we're perceived as that, they're then like, oh, okay, yeah, well, I've got to kind of hold that up. Do you know what I mean? Like, if that's what they think of us, then that's what I've got to be. Yeah. So the pressure of maintaining that persona. Yeah. When really, like, a lot of us aren't like that. It's like we do have feelings. Like we do get down when our relationships aren't right, and kind of when we don't see our kids, and kind of, and we're divorced, but they're just because we're part of a trade, and obviously you're hanging around with other people that could be really struggling, but because the banter's there on site, and kind of people are making out they're okay when they're not. If tradesmen were more likely to talk about actually how they feel, they'd probably be actually quite surprised on actually how many people are feeling the same as them. But they just don't do it, because it's something that we need to turn around as like just not only a generation, but just as a whole spectrum of the construction industry. Is we need to talk about how we feel and be open about it, and think that just because we get upset about things and we kind of have things that really affect us, we're not a pussy, and that's the thing that we need to get out there. That's the main thing, is the first step is kind of talking about it. And I think that's why they don't, is because of the construction industry is seen as that, is seen as the kind of alpha kind of trade, kind of job. Perfect, mate. Well said. Yeah, no, I completely agree with everything that you've said there. I mean, that question I'm asking everybody from a perspective of getting all the perspectives. I don't think there's an answer to it. No. There's no definitive, it's this. It's quite a hard question, wasn't it? I would like to think of that on the spot. It's one of those that if you kind of took it and you could probably come away with various answers, but that's my answer to that is like my initial reaction is because of the trade industry being very manly and kind of butch, and it's just not. That's what I like. I like that initial reaction. I mean, one of the key things that's coming up is that, is the sort of like stigma of being a tradesperson and maintaining that alpha male sort of image.
One of the other things that's coming up a lot is isolation. So people working in isolation, and the other thing being pressure. So financial pressures of being self-employed, the instability, the long working hours, and
customers
stuff
not
like
paying,
that.
relying on others to kind of
and each one is a valid answer. There's 100%. No right and wrong to it. It's just I would hope that there is no one single valid answer, because if there was one single valid answer, surely something should be done about it. I think
it's a multitude of things, like inevitably, because everyone deals with things differently. So what I may struggle with, others won't, and it's kind of vice versa. So I think everything affects us in different ways. So it's very generic, but ultimately, even though it's generic, it is similar because it's under the same scope. So and
talking about it is the first step. I mean, I had this conversation yesterday as it happened, where I said, so suicide is the biggest killer of men under 50. And there's a little bit of a misconception there too, because that sort of alludes to the fact that after 50 it drops off. It doesn't.
No.
The suicide rates actually stay relatively similar, but what happens is the comorbidities catch up. So unfortunately, things like heart disease and cancer, they start coming into play at that age. Suicide rates kind of stay the same. But with that, lost my track of thought here as to what I was saying. It was a conversation I literally had yesterday in complete brain freeze.
So with the age of 50 and
over the age of 50, suicide rates under 50. I've completely lost track of where I was going. This is the first time I've done that, Shaun. That's completely gone. Right, we'll come back to that. Oh, Christ, man, what was that? I was I'm back.
Okay,
I'm back in the building. So what I was saying was, it being the biggest killer of men under 50, I would think that if that was anything else, like if fishing was the biggest killer of men under 50, if cycling was the biggest killer of men under 50, you name it, whatever, football, you'd think there would be a huge government initiative, and I believe there would be. If loads of men were dying through cycling, I think the government would come in and bring something, but because it's people taking their own lives, it's kind of being not swept under the carpet, but people don't like to talk about it.
It is what it is. That's literally it is what it is.
And to me, that needs to change.
No, definitely. No, I 100% agree, mate. It's it's a shame the statistics and kind of seeing how high they are. And the isolation side is very valid. It's being self-employed. I was by myself a lot. The thoughts that go through your head, like you have conversations with yourself, and if you're in a bad place, those conversations aren't always going to be nice conversations.
It affects me personally because I'm an overthinker anyway. My head's going at 100 mile an hour most of the time. But my wife notices a difference. She'll say to me, "I can tell when you've worked alone as opposed to when you're working with lads," because she says to me, "You're more anxious, you're more on edge." And it is because I'll spend 8 hours a day. I'm lucky enough that I've been in my trade long enough that it's all autopilot for me now. So my head is not necessarily where my body is. So, the body's doing the work, earning the money.
It's like when you're driving, isn't it?
How
did I get here? You're just kind of on autopilot, aren't you?
So no, it's definitely a big consideration. But we've covered a load of points, mate. Really appreciate your time today. Is there anything you want to finish up on?
No, I'm just really impressed with what you've got here, mate. Looking forward to watching this channel.
It's a humble beginnings, mate. It's a humble beginnings, but you never know where it's going to lead.
100%.
But to those listening, stay tuned. You will no doubt see more content, and you will definitely see content of the climb. So wish us luck. But go and check out the. It's not GoFundMe, is it? It's the other one.
No,
it is GoFundMe. So it's not just giving; it's GoFundMe. Go check out the GoFundMe link. If you can spare. If you can spare some money, fantastic. If you can't spend any money, absolutely understand that. But just give it a like or a share.
Share would be amazing.
Make people aware that it's out there. You can find Shaun at all the places he's already listed, but we'll do that again. So easiest place to find TFT, Shaun?
Is probably for our Facebook page, Tradesmen to Forex Traders. I would say is probably the most prevalent one we've got, and then www.tft.co.uk. So we're on there, all our profiles are on there, and our details, and obviously you can take advantage of our free education. So
Fantastic. And if you've enjoyed today's episode, in fact, the first thing I'll say is if anything that you've listened to today has had an effect on you, obviously with Shaun's story, then please do reach out to somebody and talk. If you've enjoyed the episode, please give it a like, a share, a follow, a subscribe, depending what platform you're on. What I'm trying to do here is get as many eyes and ears on the podcast as possible, try and raise awareness, because there might be somebody that you know that could listen to one of these episodes and is going to resonate and connect with something that's going to make a real difference. So yeah, thank you for all of your support. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you again soon.
Cool. Take care.